Hey guys, Bethany here. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things life and fitness. So today is the second video of our law enforcement series that we're doing. If you don't know and you're new here, you can go back and watch our last video, which is our intro to this series. And this is my husband, Jon.
Hello.
He works as a police officer. So this video, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about what are the questions you need to ask yourself if you want to be a police officer. And if you don't want to be a police officer, this is great information about what a police officer does on a day-to-day basis, as well as what the whole general picture of being a police officer kind of looks like. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys learned something from this. The first thing I want to ask is, do you even know what a police officer does? So before I became a cop, I mean, I had an idea what I thought they did, which was just like chase bad guys. What about you? Did you even know, or?
I mean, my view has definitely changed because now obviously I know what a police officer does on a day-to-day basis. But before Jon became a police officer, I truly thought that police officers drove around looking to give out speeding tickets. Like, I just would be driving and I'd see a police officer and I'd be like,
I still get that. Even when a cop pulls behind me, I'm like, oh shoot.
Which is so funny because I don't get that anymore. I have like almost a comforting feeling now, unless I see a motorcycle cop, because their number one job is traffic enforcement. So they enforce traffic laws. So if you get pulled over by a motorcycle cop and you were speeding, it's not likely that you will get out of that ticket.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so actually for every 10 cars I pull over, I probably only write one ticket. And I don't know if my bosses are going to see this, but whatever. That's just the way it is. Because typically I'm pulling over people that I think are up to bad stuff, not necessarily, good people just on their way to work or way home. I know it sucks to get a ticket. I've gotten like 2 in my life. I don't want to give them out. So.
But you can't pull someone over unless you have a reason, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, have to have a reason. Some type of violation that I could write a ticket for to pull them over, yeah. Police officers actually wear a lot of hats, and part of it would be patrol, which is the officers you see on the street. Patrol officers don't just write tickets like we talked about. They also respond to calls, but you're talking about all different types of calls and all different types of knowledge that you have to know, such as domestic violence or mental health issues or traffic collisions and DUIs or people that have passed away. I mean, just like such a huge wide array, dealing with fraud. And then on top of that, you have to add in investigating all of those crimes and then writing the report, which is by far the worst part. Just sitting there and typing, just type, literally everything you do. On this date and time, so like a report today would be like, I don't know what the date is today, April 26th. On April 26th at approximately 9:59 p.m., I drove northbound on blah, 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 and you just go into it. And it's so much writing, but that's part of it. The other part of it is not just patrol, like, I'm also on SWAT, right? But different departments have way different things. Detectives, gang units, SWAT, there's school resource officers, there's the traffic guys that ride around on motorcycles and write your tickets.
There's like riot patrol.
Yeah, big departments have air support where you can be a pilot, marine patrol, like the SO, the sheriff's office, has your whole shift is out on a boat. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff that they do and all sorts of different jobs within those tasks that people have to learn. And then you can always promote and lose touch with the rest of the department. But
so do you think it's important for someone who's looking to go into law enforcement to have a good idea of kind of what they want to do before they look at which departments they want to work for?
Yeah, absolutely. So department choice would be the next big question. Do you know which department or what city you want to work for? Because that's definitely the case. I work for a smaller agency, and so my choices are pretty much limited to school resource officer, traffic, SWAT, or learn how to, teach some different type of training, whether it's a medical training teaching or jail training or something like that. But
detectives.
Detectives. So, but the other like bigger agencies, so that's what my department is. Well, maybe the department right next door, they also have a gang unit. They have a street team, which is like not just patrol, but they go out looking for guys with warrants. They go out, they make up special ops, do undercover stuff. So yeah, definitely which department you work for is a huge decision.
There's also a canine officer. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would love if you were that, but
No, never.
It's like, I've been told it's like having a 3-year-old riding around in the car with you all the time. And I was like, hey, I would be really
And
good.
they bark and they're so loud, but they're amazing. I've been on a bunch of dog bites, and dude, having the dog there is just the best. Big, huge, like, blanket of extra security. So.
And I just have to talk about one of the canines at John's is like the biggest love. But when you love on him, you don't know that he's like a cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
It's crazy. One of the other things when you're deciding a potential department to apply to is scheduling and benefits. So many departments have different schedules. John's department recently switched to a 4-11 schedule. So they work 4 11-hour shifts and then they have 4 days off. And it's a great schedule. It did take a little bit to get used to because we have to look at the calendar and kind of count his weekends. Which weekends does he work? Which weekends does he have off? But you definitely get used to it, and it's a great schedule. There are other departments that have pretty crazy schedules, so that's just something definitely to look for, especially if you have a family, because your family is also affected by your schedule. And then health benefits is the other thing.
Not just health benefits, like all the benefits
Yeah.
and incentives. So
what are some of those?
Like the biggest one is pay. How much do you get paid?
Yeah.
Right? I could work where I live and make $30,000 less than working for the department that I do, and it's a 35, 40-minute drive. So pay is a huge part. And you might be right next door to a city that pays way more or has some special incentive because you have a degree or you're bilingual or something like that where you get more pay for that. So huge incentives. It's all online. Anybody can look up anybody's, MOU is what it's called, and see what the officers get paid, what the benefits, incentives are, and stuff like that. The other side of that is which department is also the city. Like I work for a city that has all the crime, but we have maybe 0 to 3 homicides a year. Whereas I could come work closer to home, not in our city, but a neighboring city, and have 3 homicides a week, and just be running and gunning, all sorts of crazy car chase. But I don't want to. I don't need to run and gun. It comes, it's fun stuff, and it comes up, but I started this a little later, family, wife, 5 kids. Not that any other officer wants to get hurt, but some officers just want tons of overtime, and they want
a lot of action. Yeah. And your goal is to do your job well and then come home safe to your family.
Yeah, which is a lot of officers' same goal. The thing is, I always say there's this battle, like the adrenaline side of me versus the husband-dad side of me are always battling because, yes, I want to get in a foot pursuit, and yes, I want to get in a high-speed car chase and all of that crazy stuff, but then I'm also like, if it doesn't happen, I'm kind of like, well, I guess that doesn't matter. I'm going home. So it's always an internal battle for me, but...
I'm always happy when none of that happens.
Yeah. Finally, for this video, we go on and on, but are you prepared to see the world differently? So this is kind of a mental, like family side of it, just not, picking your department and picking what you want to do, but getting mentally prepared for, are you willing to see the world differently? Are you willing to put yourself in situations that most of the world never sees? When you're a police officer, you're at the scene of all the looky-loos, right? All the people that drive by slow and they're like, oh, I wonder what's going on. Like, you're there. You're in charge of that scene. And so are you ready to be in that position? Me, I was like, heck yeah, that sounds cool. But, there's some really fun stuff, and there's some other stuff that's just not so fun. So, yeah. So for example, like this is probably one of the worst calls I've been to is the beginning of a shift. We started at 6:30 back when I was on day shift. Started at 6:30, right out of the gate, we get the call of a 8-month-old baby that wasn't breathing. So I'm first out of the PD. I'm the first one there, probably by a full minute. I come into the house, and sure enough, here's this little 8-month-old baby laying on a table, blue, cold to the touch, like nothing we could do. And nobody signs up to go see like a real life dead, child. Like, and at the same time, I think Nora was this exact same age, and so. That is not fun stuff. I came home. I remember I'd check on her like 4 times a night for months, before it finally like, hey, just a freak accident. But like, are you ready for that? Are you ready for seeing homeless people different? Like, we see them differently. I see like 99% of them are drug addicts. That's what I think. And so I might be a little jaded at that, but she sees them a little different. So are you willing to be put in those situations? But
yeah, you see that they steal things in the pattern of their lifestyle. I see that they're still someone's son, someone's husband, someone's father, so, or mother, daughter, you know.
But
So
have you seen any changes in me?
since becoming a police officer, I would say you've always had this like protective quality about you, which I think is what makes you one of the things that makes you a good police officer. But I definitely think that has become more so. Like, even just like, Bethany, make sure when you're walking out to the car with the kids, you're never on your phone. You're always looking at your surroundings. Or when you're loading the kids, you have said all of this, like the stages of yellow, orange, and red. Remember, you had that talk with me of like, you always have to be in yellow or orange, or I don't know. I mean, I'm
She
sure
does
we could do a
listen
video
to
on
me.
that. Yeah. So don't look at me like you don't give me talks of how to be safe. And I think you can just, you've seen things that we haven't seen, and so you can anticipate things a little bit more. But have you changed for the most part? No, I think you handle it really well, and you're just more protective, which is a good thing. So I have a question for you. What are a few qualities that you think are good qualities for a potential or police officer to have?
I think so. You have to have the highest integrity because you're put in all these crazy positions, and I think you just have to be confident. I think there's a whole list of things you need, but I think those are probably two of the highest. You have to have the highest integrity, and you also you have to be ready and willing to make decisions and be confident in those decisions. So, what about you? What about in a spouse or somebody's significant other?
I think that a spouse or significant other needs to be confident is one. Independent and adaptable. I think being adaptable is so important because, like I said, things are always changing. Jon's in a 2-week SWAT training right now that we thought, oh, it'll be great. He'll be home at this time every day. And he's been home at a different time every single day. So it's always changing. They can get called in at any time. The schedule's always changing. Their shifts are always changing. So being adaptable. And then independent, because sometimes like the kids and I do holidays on our own. Holidays are the days you make it, but we'll still celebrate, and then we'll celebrate again with you. But you have to be able to just roll with it. There are things you miss, birthday parties and family events, and we just roll with it and we make the best of it. So super important.
So finally, if you want to and you want to know more about a police officer, go on a ride along. So whether you're civilian or you're applying, most departments, a little weird with COVID, but most departments will allow you to go on a ride along, tell them you're interested in what police work does. You typically, as just a normal citizen, you can only go on like maybe one, unless you have a friend. Bethany's gone with me 3 or 4 times. I used to take my neighbors. Anybody that I know that wants to go, it's yes, no problem. So yeah, go on a ride along and see what it's like. Ride in the police car and see that everybody's staring at you everywhere you go. It's really bizarre, but I forget about it until someone gets in the car with me, like, dude, everyone's watching. And it is what it is. It's second nature now. So you can go in a city like mine where it's all chill. You can go in some crazy city like, well, I don't know, wherever you're at, you can go. So go and experience it firsthand. So
yeah, I think that's really important. If you're looking to apply somewhere, like he said, or if you're just interested on what police officers do and deal with on a day-to-day basis, I think it's a way to just have compassion for the things that they have to deal with, because there are scary things.
Except most ride-alongs are so boring. Not the ride-along, but the actual shift is just whatever. It sucks.
It just happens.
It can happen anytime.
To protect the person on the ride-along.
So boring. So our next video, I'll explain exactly what the application process is step by step. So even if you don't want to apply, you're going to want to watch it because it'll give you insight into they don't just hire anyone.
Yeah, definitely. So, and last thing too, if you have any questions for us during this law enforcement series, put them in the comments below and we're going to compile them all. So we might not answer them directly in the comments, but we're going to compile them all and do a Q&A video at the end. And so we will get all your questions answered. We love them.
Yeah, it helps make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you guys, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos, and we'll see you soon. Have a great night.
Bye.